Hey guys, Albe here. As you guys can see behind me, I have a 2018 Indian Scout Bobber. This is Lee's Indian Scout Bobber. And he brought a bunch of parts, so let's make this Scout a little faster, a little noisier, and let's install first and foremost a Vance and Hines Grenade exhaust. Then, later on a different episode, we're gonna install an S&S air filter. And to bring everything together and to make the bike work properly, we're going to install a Dyno Jet power commander. But enough with the chit chat, let's get on it. As always, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing because this is the first time I work on an Indian exhaust, but it should be just like any other exhaust. So I'm going to start taking it apart, and first thing I'm going to try to get rid of the muffler back here, and I'm going to start with those two bolts. Those two bolts are 15 millimeters, so I'm going to get on it. Okay, at this point there are a few bolts in the back which should be 13 millimeters, and I'm going to get on it and remove it, and hopefully this whole thing will come off. So we're going to remove these 13 millimeters over here, and before we remove it completely, we're going to take care of his little brother in the back and get him too. So I wanted to take them both at the same time, but they're kind of hard. So there is another bolt over here, another 13 millimeters. I'm going to take it off and see if I can get them one at a time. Here it is. One is out. Let's take out the other one. We finally removed the muffler here, and it's super heavy. Let's put it on the scale, let's see how much it weighs. So it turns out that each one of the muffler, it's 12.5 pounds. 12.5 and 12.5 obviously is 25, so just that is 25 pounds. Now, the pipes over here are probably gonna be another 10 pounds or so, so the whole exhaust is probably a good 30 to 40 pounds, and the new exhaust, it's half of that. So but let's keep taking it apart, and we're gonna keep going with this 13 millimeter over here and this 15 millimeter down there. Once I take off those two, I'm gonna take off the head bolts over there. Flipping on to my 13 millimeter or ½ inch. There is a O2 sensor down here. We're gonna remove the O2 sensor and then those. Turns out the sensor over here is a 14 millimeters. Let's pull it out. The R part over here, it's not to scratch the engine, so pay attention, but the sensor is really easy to remove. Now that the sensor has been loosened up, I'm gonna loosen up everything else and remove it. Once it's loose, you can actually stick your hand in there and the bolt comes out. One down, one to go. And number two. Let's see if I can remove this thing. It turns out I can't quite disconnect the two pipes, so I'm going to loosen up the front and see if I can work my way back that way. To loosen up the front, I'm going to loosen the O2 sensor back here, 14 millimeters, and then those two bolts in there, 13 millimeters. Here we go, O2 sensor is loosened up. Fortunately, those pipes are brand new, so they're not rusted over or anything, and they come out fairly easy. Top one is loosened up. I think I gotta go on the other side for the bottom one. Now that they're loosened up, just gonna remove it that way. Okay, let's take one more piece off the bike. And the piece I'm talking about is this. So I'm gonna remove the foot peg to give myself some room. It's fairly easy, it's 2 bolts. It might not be necessary if your pipe splits into 2. I'm just gonna let it hang right there. I decided to employ the owner of the bike as help because this one is not coming apart, and if you don't take it apart, the pipe is not coming out. As I said before, Lee has the curse of the dragon, so you will not see his face. But got it. This is a 2-man job. All those other videos they show that they just grab it and comes out, they're lying to you. It's finally out. I had to use WD-40, 2 people holding on to it. You're almost better off cutting it. Once you finally remove the back side, the front side should be easy enough. As you can tell from my heart breathing and the fact that I'm soaked, it wasn't easy. Now, this one by itself is gonna come out much easier. Get the O2 sensor off, and then the pipes comes out nice and easy. At this point, the last thing to do is to remove the bracket over here. So the bracket has a 24mm up here, and then there is an 8mm Allen key down here. Actually easier than I thought. Easy enough. Put it aside because you're gonna need those to install the other bracket. Here we go, another heavy bracket off. Okay, it's time to install the Vance and Hines bracket, and to install the bracket you're gonna use the same hardware on the bottom, and for the top you're gonna use this provided bolt. They notched the top of the stud, so now it's gonna be hard to realign this bolt. As you guys can see, the notch I'm talking about right there, that has the thread all messed up. What I'm gonna do is clean up the grooves that have been notched over here and put some thread lock on it to avoid the nut from coming out. I tried to put the provided bolt in there multiple times, and every time 3 threads in or so, this thing would start getting jammed and would start actually warming up. It really got hot. So what I did, I took my little caliber thingy over there and I measure the 2 bolts. These bolts is 0.7 of a millimeter smaller than this bolt over here. So I don't know why, I don't know if it's done on purpose so that this one doesn't come loose, but I would rather try not to strip this thing off. So I'm gonna put the OEM bolt back on it. Much better. Solid, not going anywhere. So first thing first, we're gonna put the O2 sensor adapter on the pipes, and the instruction call for a little bit of anti-seize. They don't give any torque specs for this, so here we go, moving on. Okay, what the manufacturer says to do is to mark the position of those brackets, then put the pipe into the heat shield and then route this through. Now, since there are only 3 of those brackets, I'm not going to mark it because I'm going to remember them. So let's put it in. Here it comes. I'm going to keep it loose and I'm going to do the other three. The mounting bracket is in there and you just slide it in. It comes out the other way. You just put it back in. On the long pipe, they're all pointing down because you're going to be able to access them from the bottom of the bike. On the short pipe, they're all going to point up, so you're going to be able to access them from the top. Same thing on this one. You have three of them, 1, 2 and 3. If you can remember them, otherwise mark it up. Now another thing you can do at this point is put the mid heat shield, because otherwise once the pipes are together you won't be able to do that. Let's reverse this one because I put it in wrong. This one needs to point that way. And we can move on to the install. Moving on. Okay, at this point we're going to install the front pipe in, and this is going to be the first one to go in. Twist it on it. Here we are. First thing I'm going to do is put the O2 sensor back in on it. Now the instruction call to unplug the O2 sensor all together, and then once you install it on the pipe, reroute the O2 sensor in it. But if I can avoid it, I would like to. Before I put that in, I'm going to tie the O2 sensor. And now I can put the pipe in. And the cross pipe together. Okay, it's time now to install the small muffler, and the one with the Vance and Hines logo goes up top. So we're going to start from the bottom. On the bottom hand side, the clamp is supposed to be pointing down so that you can actually access the clamp from the bottom side, just about like this. Once it's in like that, there are those two holes over here, and we're gonna put some more hardware on. So let's tie this one to the bracket. What I'm doing right now is putting those in the back. So once you have these in, it's time to put the top one. Put it in there. Insert. Grab the other two provided little bolts and put it in from behind. So once you have both the pipes on, it's time now to tie everything up. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I'll catch you up in a minute. We are done. The installation took a sweet time. The exhaust looks way better than the OEM, and I'll let you take a look. That's what the bike looks like now. And here is a picture of the bike, how the bike used to look like before. So the exhaust looks great, but I had to fiddle with it quite a bit. Removing the old exhaust, obviously, it is what it is. Installing the new exhaust, I wasn't expecting to find that much resistance, meaning the tolerances are very, very minimal. Some of them are a hair off what is supposed to be, so you gotta fiddle quite a bit. My suggestion is, when you put these exhausts together, leave everything loose, like way loose, way more than you might think, and then put everything together, and at the very end tie everything. Other than that, the exhaust looks great on the bike. This is the exhaust the bike should have come out of the factory with, but let's hear what it sounds like. Fuel pump is as loud as the exhaust. So that is how this bike is supposed to sound like. It sounds great, it sounds mean, and once I install the air filter and the power commander, it's actually gonna have the horses to be a real bobber. It looks fantastic, it matches the way the bike is supposed to be. It's short, it's matte, it's mean, and it sounds great. So, great exhaust, tolerances could be better, but when you install an aftermarket exhaust, that's how it's going to be. So in the end, I got pissed off here and there while I was installing it, but in the end I can do nothing but recommend this exhaust because it sounds very, very good. As always, for everything I used in this video, and most likely those other two parts that I'm going to install next, look in the description down below for links, including this fantastic Albe ADV shirt. If you like the video, like. If you love the video, subscribe. If you don't love the video, subscribe anyway. Let me know what you don't love so I can fix it. Till then, ride on, and I'll see you next time.